Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jane. My channel is about motherhood, thrifts and finds, and beauty. I can't believe it's the end of November. This is the last weekend of November. I'm really super grateful to all of you guys who have supported me from the time I started my channel up to this point. If you're new here, karibu sana. My name is Jane. I love creating content around motherhood, thrifts and finds, beauty, and sometimes a little DIY, and just talk about how you can improve spaces in your home. Like today, I'm going to be talking about curtains, and I hope that you get to learn something on how you can improve the space in your home. So if you feel like this is content you'd really enjoy watching, please consider hitting the subscribe button. I would really love it if you became part of my family. So I'm going to jump right straight in. I have my notes here where I'm going to just be discussing the different things that I think are important to consider when you want to buy curtains for your space. The first one will definitely be design. And design, I mean the texture, and also based on the size of your space, what you're going for. You want to choose a design that is not too shouting, that is not taking too much attention from the other decor pieces in your space, but something that really just draws people's eyes into your window when they come into the space, but they still also get to enjoy the other decor in your space. So you want to really choose texture that is very bold but also very mild, in a way that it really matches with the furniture that you have in your space. The other thing you really want to look at is color. What color are you buying for your space? It's also very important to link this to the furniture that you have in your space. So if you have gray furniture, you want to avoid going for gray curtains and gray pillows and everything gray in your space. It becomes a bit too much. There's nothing that is cutting on the color, so that way your home is dull. Your home just has one color that is constant all across. You want to add pieces and pops of color. You can do this by choosing a colorful curtain. If you want your seats to remain plain, then you can go with colorful curtains. But if your seats have patterns, you want to choose curtains that are at least plain color, and also just go with this color that you have or the palette that you're using in your space. The other thing you want to do is to be very deliberate about the curtains that you choose. Are you going for heavy curtains? Are you going for light curtains? Are you going for curtains that will allow light into your space? Or are you going for curtains that will reduce the amount of light that is coming into your space? So you want to really know what you're looking for before you go to look for curtains. I would advise you go for light curtains, especially if you are looking to allow light to come into your space, because you don't want curtains that are too heavy and that are taking up so much of the space on your window that it's not allowing enough light to come through. I also want to touch on a little bit on shears. Nowadays, there's an option of either going for plain shears or going for printed shears. Now, this is a choice you want to be very careful when you're making, based on the curtains that you choose. You can go for printed shears if you have plain curtains. That way they blend into each other. Or you can go for printed shears if your curtains are so the opposite, printed if your curtains are plain, and plain if your curtains are printed. That way they match each other. You can also find a way of matching a printed curtain and a printed sheer. Somehow they work together. It's also just be very careful when choosing this, so that the way you've designed your space on your window does not appear too much and also too little. It's just the right design. So the only difference I would want to talk about when it comes to shears is, if you get plain shears, they are very good if you want to achieve a well gathered shear space, especially if you're using shears as your curtains as well to provide privacy. You want to do double shears. This way, there's some room for privacy, and also you still allow light to come into your space. So you can go for plain shears if you're looking for a lot of gathers. You can also go for plain shears if you want something neat and something that is not too much or doesn't stand out as much, but it just draws enough attention to your curtains. You can also go for printed curtains if you're looking to add design and also texture. These are things that are also very important. They may look very small, but I think with such details, when now it blends into your space, into your seats, into your furniture, into your decor pieces, they all come together based on the curtains or shears that you choose to have on your window. So let's talk about kitchen curtains. With me, when it comes to the kitchen, you want to allow as much light as possible into the space, because most kitchens are usually small, and so, or maybe they just have one window, and so the amount of light that is coming through may not be too much. You want to avoid putting a bulky curtain on your kitchen, because that way it makes the space dull and already damp, because there's a lot of water that is used in the kitchen. So to achieve a really plain and clean look, you can go for a sheer that is either printed beautifully, that has nice colors and allows a lot of light to come into the kitchen, or you can just go for something really plain. A plain white sheer always works best. Then you also want to put it in a way that it looks neat. It doesn't look like it's just hung by a wire or a cable, but it looks very well done from the top, so that way it flows all the way to the part of the window where it's just enough to allow you continue with your other activities in the kitchen without interfering with the space. So for me, kitchen, you shouldn't have heavy curtains in the kitchen. You should have really light curtains, because they allow the right amount of light, and they also just look really beautiful. Bedroom curtains, you want to go for the opposite. You want to go for something that's very stylish but also a bit heavy, because you don't want to allow light in the evening to come into your bedroom when you want to get some rest. There are people who are very light sleepers. So for light sleepers, you want to look for curtains that are really heavy, not bulky, but heavy. You can even buy a light curtain and then have it double. There's a way they double stitch it so that it becomes a bit heavier. So you want to do that to achieve maximum darkness at night so that you can sleep well. So for me, I would advise, if you're doing bedroom curtains, you want to go for something that's a bit heavy but still has design and matches with the rest of your bedroom design. So we also need to talk about mistakes you want to avoid when you're putting curtains in your space. You want to avoid having a curtain that is way longer than the size of, like the normal size of a curtain, one that has gathers at the bottom. It looks very untidy and also collects a lot of dust. So at the end of the day, it's not the best option to go for. What you want to do is to have your curtain just reach right above the skirting in your living room or bedroom or wherever you're putting a curtain. You want to ensure that the sheer is right above the skirting, and the curtain goes just right below that, but it does not touch the ground. That way it looks neat, it does not collect a lot of dust, and it also just allows you to draw your curtains out and bring them in comfortably without having things stepping on it at the bottom or making it look uncomfortable and untidy. The other thing you want to avoid is putting your curtain rods right below the window. This way, the curtain appears boxed and appears a bit short. What you want to do, you want to put your curtain rod way up above, just somewhere a bit below the wall. That way, it flows down nicely. It looks very neat, it looks very well done, and it allows you to, when you draw your curtains, the amount of light that is coming through is the maximum light, because your window has not been blocked by the curtain rods just being below the window. So you want to put them way up. That way it allows the curtain to really come down nicely. The other thing you want to avoid with curtains is putting too many gathers. When you put too many gathers on your curtain or on your shear, it becomes a bit too bulky, and so the windows do not allow maximum light to come through the space. Actually, guys, just know that even if you block your window, what you want to achieve is maximum lighting coming into your space, because a house that is well lighted looks very nice. Excuse me, looks very nice, and it allows just the maximum air, maximum light. It feels warm, it feels bright. It's a good space to sit in. So you want to achieve that by doing simple little things with the curtain that you choose, with how you choose to style it, with how it flows the design in your house, by just making sure you avoid these simple mistakes. So avoid too many gathers. Even if you're using simple shear, you want just enough gathers to at least make the place look neat, provide privacy, and also provide light into your space. Well, that's it from me today. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you learned a thing or two on how to style your curtains and how to make this part of the essential design in your space. Thank you all so much for watching. We are getting into the December holidays, and I want to wish you all, guys, a beautiful last month of the year, and hopefully we get to post something in December and to keep going and to keep growing this channel. I'm super grateful to all of you who have subscribed. Please share with your friends, share with your family, share with anyone who you think would benefit from my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and see you all next time. Bye.